Hello humans, I'm playing this again, very awkwardly. Yep. Someone thumps their fist on the storage room door, stirring you from sleep with a jolt and a thud as you fall off the mattress. Scrambling to your feet, you step over to the door and swing it open wide. Disco Vampires, I need your help! It's at that moment that you look down to see Waddles swaddled in her arms, wearing a top hat and a small bow tie. Why is Waddles looking so dapper? He does look pretty dashing, doesn't he? Wait, we're not here to dish out compliments. This is an emergency. A love emergency. Mabel stares up at you with wide eyes, her little arms unmoving as Waddles attempts to wriggle free from her grasp. This kid's stronger than she looks. Knowing Mabel, this could mean she has a new crush from what Dip has told you, she's still deeply rooted in her boy crazy phrase, or she desperately wants to wed Waddles to some unsuspecting critter outside. Waddles and Gompers are renewing their vows today, and I can't find Gompers to put his gown on. You gotta help me find him. You weren't actually expecting your second guess to be right. Okay, wait, Mabel? Mabel, just calm down for a second. But we have to find Gompers! The ceremony's in 20 minutes! Waddles wriggles himself free and runs down the hallway to freedom, ignoring Mabel's shriek of protest as she chases him. You're compelled to go back to bed, deciding this is almost definitely a dream, but jog after Mabel regardless. You catch sight of Mabel as she leaps over Dipper, who's sitting on the floor with a large array of graph paper and 2 pencils. She runs to the back door, suspiciously open, after Waddles' snorting self, yelling at him not to lose his tie. What? Mabel? What's going on? Waddles? Wedding? Gompers? You're a little out of Mabel's fast. Dipper smacks a hand to his forehead, draining on his face dramatically. Of course, she told me they're renewing vows or something. They got married last summer and she misses the pizzazz of weddings. Dipper looks nonplussed, but you can tell he's at least a little invested. Are you gonna help her with whatever that was? I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, that's Mabel for you, but it's her thing, I guess. There's a moment of silence. I'll help if you do. Thanks, Dipper. And with that, you run past him. Dipper's stutters of surprise growing fainter as you head outside. Mabel's already a ways away when you burst out into the shack's backyard. Fortunately, Stan and Ford are nowhere in sight. You're not sure what you'd think of them finding you searching for a goat bride, as Mabel calls out to lure Gompers home. Come on, Gompers! I already booked the second honeymoon and the caterers are going to be mad. Runaway brides are so cliche. She's seriously invested in this farm critter marriage. That or she watched way too many dramatic romance movies. Or both. Gompers, come on, goat. Pal, where are you? You hear Dipper head towards Mabel to take her back, to help her look, so you veer opposite, opting to cover more ground in search of the runaway goat bride. Where she'd look under the shack's foundation. You duck onto your knees and look under the house. There's a large hall that leads somewhere underground, but you figure Gompers isn't down there if that's Ford's illustrious basement Dipper has gushed about. On the roof? You walk backwards and put a hand to your brow, shielding your eyes from the sun as you search the scaffolding of the shack. Nothing. You continue, walking to the side now, until rays of sunlight obscure the view above the sign for the gift shop. Rather serendipitously, a cloud glides overhead to block the sun, and you're able to look up higher, seeing the misspelled lettering, the various wear and tear on the roof, and a small billy goat munching on a part of the weather vane. Wait. Hey, Mabel! Yeah? You point up to the roof at Gompers. Here comes the bride. Mabel shrieks Gompers and sprints into the gift shop, slamming the door so hard the open sign flips to closed. There's a silence for a moment, and then something flips open on the roof's small balcony, and Mabel pops out from underneath, climbing onto the roof and attempting to coax Gompers down. There's a ladder up to that little balcony thing inside the gift shop. It's pretty cool for fireworks. Mabel pulls a sandwich from her sleeve. You can't help but imagine what else she has up there, and waves it in Gompers' direction, and he trots towards the balcony, hopping down to Mabel's level and snatching the sandwich from her hand. She grabs the goat and heads back down the ladder into the gift shop. Alright, Gompers, you can't get the pre-wedding jitters anymore. You're already married. You can't get away that easy. Thanks a billion, Disco Vampires. You've saved the wedding. And with that, Mabel gets to work on wrestling Gompers into his dress, yelling commands to Dipper to grab Waddles, who, thankfully, didn't get his bow tie dirty when he dashed away earlier, and get everything ready for the... What? Oh, okay. And get everything ready for the most important ceremony in the history of ever. Maybe an exaggeration, but Mabel's excitement is undoubtedly contagious. Okay, once Dip finds Waddles, I think we got everything ready. I am, of course, the Vicar Caterer Proud Mother musical guest combo. Dipper's gonna take pictures for my scrapbook. Hey, I never agreed to that. Dipper, please. I've got off this shit 8. You mean officiate? See, I'm so busy I can't even talk right. Please, Dipper, I'll help you with some nerd things later, I think you swear. Dipper contemplates this, hand at his chin, mirroring his grunkle fort, of course. Give me a second. As long as you actually do this time, then yeah, I'll take pictures. Mabel jumps up and down with excitement, jostling poor Gompers in her arms. Yay, thank you, Dipper, I owe you one. This is what the best brother looks like right here, just go envious. Haha, okay, you don't have to do that whole thing again. I'll get back to Waddles, you get back here. Okay, now we have that fixed, that means we have— wait! Sue's left already, my ring bearer's gone! Oh no, what are we gonna do, Gompers? Gompers gives the intelligent answer of bah, chewing on his bridal veil. I could ask them, but I don't know. Gompers chooses that moment to look into Mabel's eyes and bleat at her insistently. Mabel, naturally, takes this as a sign from Goat. You're right, of course, this is your special day, again. Mabel turns to you with pleading eyes. Hey, Disco Ampius, could you be the new ring bearer for the ceremony? It would give me no greater honor. I'm very invested in this partnership, Mabel. I gotta see it through. Mabel beams, obviously very pleased that you're taking this as seriously as she is. Thank you, Disco Vampius. Let's get this show on the road, or this wedding on the backyard. It still works. Mabel runs back into the house, and you hear her thudding upstairs faster than a hungry Waddles. Gompers, thankfully still occupied by the half a sandwich Mabel taunted him with, stays put. She comes back soon after with a fluffy purple pillar and 2 clear sticks. After snapping the sticks in half, glow sticks, they're glow sticks, she curls them into small bracelet-sized rings. These are so much more fun than rings. Plus, Waddles can put it on his tail to look super handsome. Waddles oinks in agreement. In his mad dash out of the house, he's lost his top hat. Hold your hands out, palm up, and get down so you're not as tall, so they can't put the rings on each other if you're way up there. She's got a point. You duck to your knees in the dirt, and Mabel turns her hands palm up, reverently placing the pillar and the glow stick rings atop them. Okay, Mabel, I'm here with the camera for Disco Vampius. Why are you on the ground? You gesture to the happy couple with a wide arc of your arms. Shut up! I don't think they heard it. And then you pointed it out, and now they know. They needed a ring bearer. Well, I guess they do. Mabel nods, small hands on her hips. She looks over at the wedding scene and mumbles to herself, checking things off a mental checklist. Okay, I think we have— wait! I threw out the flower petals. I'll be right back. And she's gone again, leaving you alone with a pink groom, a good bride, and 2 glow stick bands of matrimony. Goatrimony. That kind of works. You decide not to crack that pun on Dipper, who's examining his disposable camera. He pops the back open in size, smacking a hand to his forehead. This one's out of film. It must have been the one Mabel used at Candy's party. He looks up at you and shrugs. I'll go get one of my spares. Make sure these 2 don't go anywhere or Mabel will— well, you know Mabel. You haven't known Mabel as long as Dipper has, but you understand immediately. You're left alone in the backyard with a groom's pig, a bride's goat, and 2 glow sticks and a broken disposable camera. While you'd love to say you've absolutely been in this situation before, you unfortunately have not. I really am very happy for you both, Waddles and Gompers. Both animals turn to you, nonchalant at the current state of events. But I can't believe Mabel forgot the flower petals. Jeez. Just as you go to continue the one-sided conversation between human, goat, and pig, you hear 2 voices coming around from the house. 2 very familiar voices. Listen, Sixer, if you hadn't gone off about the wobbly junker, the gobble-wonker Stanley, has Dipper never told you, then you wouldn't have freaked at the kid at the store. At the store we needed, and we'd have— oh, I don't know, the stuff to fix my house after you got a car stuck in it? It's still my house, and besides, if he was a fisherman, he needed to know. Both Stan and Ford round the corner to find you sitting on your heels next to Waddles and Gompers, brandishing a pillow and glow sticks in the dirt. The 3 of you stare at each other in silence. Mabel needed a ring bearer for the wedding. It's at that moment that Mabel kicks down the back door, runs to your side, and throws rose petals atop your head. Ta-da! You blow a rose petal off the tip of your nose and grin at Mabel. I think our bride and groom are ready to renew their vows, don't you? Mabel nods emphatically at you before returning to her grunkles, lighting up a 100-watt smile. Yes, Grunkle Stan, Grunkle Ford, you guys got back just in time! And just like that, Mabel pushes Stan and Ford towards you and tugs their hands so they sit across from you. Stan complains about his knees, and Ford asks Dipper exactly why the pig and the goat are betrothed. Fits with what you know about both at this point. Mabel makes way with the wedding, and you sit cross-legged, the pillow and glow stick rings in your lap. Every so often, Mabel stifles a theatrical sob, wiping a very real tear from her eye before she turns to you for the rings. Oh, Mabel, how should the betrothed wear their rings, since they don't have ring fingers? Just put them on where you think they fit best. Tasha, should I put them on their heads like tiaras around one goat horn and Waddles' tail, or one over each ear, like fun earrings? Okay, the one with the tail. You get up and promptly crouch down in front of Waddles and Gompers, playing your ring bearer part very seriously. A glow stick ring goes onto one of Gompers' horns, and you place the other on Waddles' rear, hanging off his curlicue tail. I now pronounce you husband and husband. Again. You may now kiss the goat. Waddles sniffs at Gompers and snorts. That definitely counts. Dipper reappears with a new camera, and Mabel throws more rose petals at him. A few get stuck onto his fluffy hat, and he rolls his eyes, but retaliates by taking a very close-up picture of the flash temporarily blinding her. Hey, save the film for the renewed weds. I need plenty of pictures for my scrapbook. You owe me a new camera for this, Mabel. He sounds annoyed, but his fond sibling smile gives him away, and he starts taking pictures of the happy couple, getting odd angles as Mabel pushes them into silly poses. You step away from the scene and go to head back to the house. Being a ring bearer is thirsty work, but Stan and Ford stop you before you make it to the door. Hey Disco Vampiers, thanks for playing along with Mabel with the whole wedding thing. We're both glad you're willing to entertain her whenever we're gone. She didn't make you do it, did she? Oh, she didn't. She needed a ring bearer, so I stepped up to help. Stan and Ford arch matching brows at you. I'm very interested in the marriage of a goat and a pig, you know. The three of you laugh, and Stan pats your shoulder. Ford gives you a warm smile. Well, I'm glad you're as into all that as she is. Thank you for that. Yeah, kid, it's nice of you to be nice to her, you know. Ford takes a step forward on the patio, peering down at you through his cracked glasses. You'd be somewhat intimidated if it wasn't for the fact that he's flushing. I appreciate that you occupied the kids for Stanley and I while we were out. Both of them seem to like you being around. You grin at him with a shrug. It's no problem. They're fun to hang out with, even if I'm gonna have some strange photos in Mabel's scrapbook at the end of it. Ford smiles, sweet and almost kind. It's your turn to turn red while he looks at you like that. Well, if you'll excuse me, I've, got things to get back to you, yes. He walks past you and into the house, Stan following soon after. Stan elbows Ford, and it looks like he mutters something to him, but you can't hear what it was. Whatever he says, Ford looks scandalized. Hey Disco Vampiers, you're gonna miss the party. We got popsicles. I call the red ones. Pineapple ones are mine. I call dibs. But the pineapple ones are the best ones! Mabel and Stan wrestle over a yellow popsicle while Dipper contentedly unwraps a red one, holding it above his head and out of Gompus' way. Ford gingerly picks out a purple ice pop and leaves the ice chest open for you to grab one as well. While Stan and Mabel are looking at you, you hide the pineapple popsicles at the bottom of the chest. Dipper sees and starts laughing, but doesn't tell. They're a strange bunch, these two sets of fine twins, but they're certainly making your summer a lot more exciting as your stay at the Mystery Shack continues, your wreck of a car sitting outside in the heat of the setting sun. It's another day of summer, with nothing to do but wait. Your schedule's surprisingly clear today. Ford usually has something going on for you to help with, and if not, Stan, Seuss, or the kids do. Who do you want to find? Ford. You pass through the living room, and Mabel spots you from her seat at the table. Disco Vampiers, I was hoping I'd see you. Come on, I want to ask you something. Mabel points down at the table with a raspberry pink coloured pencil. Her art supplies, scattered across the table, lie across various sheets of paper with brightly coloured doodles and lots of glitter. You see a drawing that looks like a cross between Barney and Godzilla, a page full of puppies, and a page with a drawing that kind of looks like you with... Is that Ford or Stan? Mabel's not finished with it yet, but the telltale jawline gives it away. You sit down at the table across from Mabel and suddenly get the same feeling you'd get at a job interview. It's intensified when she pushes her organised chaos of papers aside and steeples her fingers over the table surface. Disco Vampiers, I'll be frank. I've been trying to find a match for my grunkles for a while, but I never seem to get their matches made. Sorry, a match. But then, it's like you were pulled from thin air, attracted to the shack by a magnet of love. It was a sign, and this week it just made the chemistry you share with him obvious. You know who I'm talking about, right? Ford. Yes. Grunkle Ford's great with family, but he's still guarded. You're the first new person I've seen him actually get interested in. Maybe if you get to know him, he'll see that social interactions aren't so hard, and maybe love is on his horizon. That's a jump, to say the least. And anyway, though you've had the chance to share some quality time with Ford, you still feel like there's a huge part of his story that you're missing. How much do you even know about him anyway? And why do you want to know so much more? Mabel, Ford and I haven't spent all that much time together. Sure, we shared a couple of adventures, but nothing. Adventures are the perfect bonding material, I know that firsthand. But you know what would really get this chemistry going? Talking to him? What? No, I'm thinking something more romantic. Hold on, I'm getting an idea. I'll get everything ready, Disco Ampius. You just focus on falling completely and utterly in love. Matchmaker Mabel is back in the game. Just as you exit the talk with Mabel, you run into Dipper right outside the living room, and it doesn't seem like an accident either. His arms are crossed and he's looking at you dubiously. So I heard about Mabel's plan. How do you? I just left the room. Yeah, well, word travels fast, and Mabel sends out mass update texts. His defensive posture softens a bit. Just tell me one thing. I know my grunkles can look after themselves, but can you promise me you won't hurt Grunkle Ford? You can trust me? Okay, just give Ampius. I'm remembering that. A text notification sounds, and Dipper checks his phone. And be ready at any time for your date with Grunkle Ford. This feels awkward enough. No offense, just give Ampius. It's just my Grunkle Ford actually going on a date? Do old people even date? Kind of hard to wrap my head around. I hope Mabel doesn't ask me for my help tomorrow. I mean, I have enough trouble trying to date for myself. Mabel calls from downstairs. Hey, Dip Doll, I'm gonna need your help tomorrow. Well, never mind. During the next few days, you, Ford, and Dipper get further into the DD and MD campaign you left off on, and you have time to flesh Alex out to complement Tyros and Vernon on the team. Dipper tells you the 3-person trope is typically small for a DD and MD group, but you've been getting the hang of the game, mostly from taking advantage of Ford's helpful nudges in the right direction. You've noticed Ford staring at you during the games sometimes, and you can't deny that you've been caught doing the same. After all, after your fateful chat with Mabel, you're on edge and wait for her to pull something out of her sleeve. Every time she bursts into a room with fistfuls of crayons, you jump at least a foot in the air. But you've been doing your best to pretend everything's normal, or at least as normal as it gets in Gravity Falls. You ventured out into town earlier today and did some tourist-worthy exploring, and ran into the Pines family at Greasy's dinner about an hour later. Diner. According to a giddy Dipper and an exasperated Ford, a door to another plane had appeared in the fridge instead of food. Post-documentation and inspections, and lots of skeptical squinting from Dipper and complaints from Stan, Ford had suggested they all just wait it out. It was gone by the time you got back. You secretly hoped to catch a glimpse, but when you asked Ford about it, he assured you it was nothing special. Wouldn't even have ranked among his top 10, he'd said, pushing his glasses up on his nose. After that series of fridge-related events, the shack fell quiet. Dipper ventured out with his camera equipment, off to film something amazing, and stands in his office, checking in with his sources, whatever that means. That leaves you and Ford, both intently reading on the shack's patio. It's warm and comfortable, yet the overhang shields your eyes from the blinding summer light. You glance over at Ford. He looks calm and collected, same as he'd been all week. Conversely, you've been a little nervous around him ever since Mabel's matchmaking interview. It's not that you haven't thought of him in that light before, it's that you never planned on actually trying it out. Gosh, I hope it's getting weird. You can always ask Mabel to call off the matchmaking thing. After spending the past couple days convinced that Mabel was going to spring an unavoidable romantic situation on you at a moment's notice, you'd rather not live with that kind of anxious anticipation. You settle back into your book, a paperback Ford lent you. It's jargon-heavy sci-fi with an abstract cover you probably would have overlooked on a bookshelf, and you think you're about to see the first glimpse of the plot after a 3-chapter introduction. You go to turn the page of your book, but the back door slams open. Mabel explodes onto the porch, armed with oven mitts and an apron. Disco Ampius, Grunkle Ford, I need help and I need it now. Ford sits up with a wide-eyed look, fixing his glasses that had been startled off the bridge of his nose. What is it? Is something burning? Is something burning in the kitchen? I need help baking. Ford relaxes enough to leave a bookmark in his dog-eared novel and close it. But looks to Mabel with an air of bewilderment. Grenda's throwing a grub-ditch Hassenfreschen party for Marius when he comes to visit, and I volunteered to make cupcakes. I was like, yeah, I can totally bake a batch of cupcakes, but as it turns out, smoke unfurls from the back doorway, inevitably followed by the screech of the fire alarm inside. Mabel wrings her mitted hands and winces guiltily. I can't. Mabel rushes back into the house, you and Ford coming close after. You reach the door in time to see Ford, unruffled, drag a chair over to the smoke detector and disable it as easily as flipping a light switch. As for the smoke, you go straight for the kitchen window and open it, fanning the smoke out of the house. Mabel looks guiltily at you both, attempting to waft the smoke out with her oven mitts. Now that you really look at her, you notice there's flour on her sweater, and the kitchen floor, and the kitchen counter, leading to one lopsided bag of flour surrounded by a similar mess of ingredients. Looks like you could use a hand, Mabel. Why didn't you ask for help much sooner? I'm sorry, Grunkle Ford, I wanted to make them myself. She wilts under exaggerated despair. But I need these cupcakes, and I need your help. She points at Ford, and your help. Mabel then moves a pointer finger to you. Oh dear. Both of you absolutely need to help me with this. She looks between the two of you with those Mabel patented puppy dog eyes, and whatever will you had left to resist crumbles immediately. You pat her shoulder reassuringly. It's alright, Mabel. Baking is a difficult art, and even professionals have off days, and you glance at the oven that's still leaking lingering smoke. I think adult supervision might be good right now. Mabel nods, looking between you and Ford. Well, it'll be easy peasy with you and Grunkle Ford helping me. You look to Ford, and Ford just looks questioningly to Mabel. Why would you need both of us, Mabel? Because we need to make like a bajillion of these. So many, this is a huge party. Plus, the more people that make them, the more love these cupcakes will have. There needs to be so much love in these cupcakes. That doesn't... Please, Grunkle Ford. You and Disco Vampiers are super conveniently the only ones who can help me. Maybe Dipper. He's out filming. He won't be back till sunset. It's gotta be you two. Ford glances hopelessly out to the hallway for one moment, and Mabel gives you a conspiratorial wink while he's not looking, and then it dawns on you. This is your match made date with Ford. Is it getting hot in here? Is that just oven? Help. It's getting weird. I can't stop laughing. Well, please, Grunkle Ford. Disco Vampiers is already gonna help out, right, Disco Vampiers? Yes, that's what I want. Hot Piggy lets Pasty has a look at Ford to find him looking oddly contemplative now compared to before. He looks to you for a fleeting moment. You catch out the corner of your eye. His attention's back on Mabel by the time you register it, and Ford nods at her. Alright, what do we need to do? Yes! Okay, first rule in baking. Wear an apron. There's never a wrong time to make a fashion statement. Mabel holds two aprons out, one scarlet red and the other white. You have absolutely no idea when Mabel even retrieved these aprons in the first place. But she's already picked who gets which one. The red apron is tossed to you and the white one is thrown to Ford. You put it on and look down at yourself to read it upside down. Burn, baby, burn, printed across your chest, with a picture of a fiery girl beneath it. Fittingly, it smells a bit like burning. Ford's apron has some green text you didn't quite catch, but as he loops it over his head and ties it, you can read it clearly. You stifle a laugh as you read, text now clear over his broad chest. My other oven is a Bunsen. Definitely have to respond. You are my support human. Come on, get up. Don't just sneeze at me. I need you to pick which one I say a reaction to Ford's, like, apron. Do you want that one? Yes. I don't. It only takes a second for Ford to flush pink with understanding, fiddling with the hem of his apron. Okay, Mabel, what's our next step? The second rule in baking is to know your recipe. It's got everything: the ingredients, the instructions, the temperature. Ford looks to the counter and picks up a piece of paper. You guess it's the recipe, judging by the frilly-looking photo of a 3-tiered cake on the back. He scans over the ingredients, focused. And the third rule in baking is to forget your recipe. But that's only if rule 2 doesn't work out. How are we looking, Grunkle Ford? I was worried we'd be short on sugar, but I think we'll make it. Are you switching recipes, Mabel? There's ingredients listed here that aren't already on the counter. Mabel laughs loudly and attempts to clap Ford on the shoulder. She only manages to reach his elbow, and you suddenly suspect that whatever baked good Mabel had burned in the oven earlier was a fabricated failure. You glance at the stovetop. The open box of store-bought cookies sitting on top confirms your suspicion. Oh, Grunkle Ford, you tell the best jokes. That wasn't a joke. Oh look, we need flour, and I already have that out. Next. Ford reads the list of ingredients aloud, and Mabel darts around the kitchen, gathering them as he calls them out. You set to work finding the utensils Mabel needs. Scanning through unfamiliar drawers, she points out to you. After opening nearly every cupboard, you come up with an array of mismatched measuring cups, 2 half teaspoons, and a dented tablespoon. Good enough. How many cupcakes do you need for tomorrow, Mabel? At least 100. You give her an undisguised look of incredulity. And Mabel sends back a series of gestures telling you to go along with it, pointing at Ford's thoughtful face and mouthing, "You bought it." So since the recipe makes 20 to 25, we... quadruple would mean by 4, but if it makes 225, that would mean there could be less than we need, so quintuple, I guess? Exactly what I was thinking. If we play our cards right, we can get an exact 120, making full use of the cupcake pan each time. You're bewildered that Ford doesn't question the quantity. Instead, he's starting to factor in how many acceptable cupcake pans he can find in the cupboards, grumbling as he searches through the clangs and dull thuds of other bakeware. Oof, when is the last time Stanley? Ah, there they are. Looks like we have one that's rusted and one that hasn't. Just go Vampius, get the pan that's already in the oven, if we can manage to clean it out. No, definitely uncleanable. It's totally burnt, batter everywhere. Just go Vampius, can you? Mabel makes a gesture to disposing evidence of her baking failure, and you wince but nod. Seizing your chance while Ford's back is turned, you open the oven, grab whatever's inside with the oven mitt, and rush outside to drop it in the trash can midway around the shack. It turns out to be a couple store-bought cookies dropped in a muffin pan and left to burn to a crisp. You shake the cookies out into the trash, leaving you with a still hot but perfectly serviceable pan. Tashna, should I take the pan back and claim it's a miracle, or leave the pan here and back up Mabel's claim?
What's Mabel's claim?
That the pan is unusable. But I think, if I leave it out here, someone's gonna find it. So, take it back. You return to the kitchen. Look, the pan's actually fine. How lucky. Ford gives Mabel a musing look. Yeah, how fortunate. Mabel gives Ford a winning smile, which must be enough because Ford lights up with a smile soon after, shaking his head fondly. You see that Ford has brought a mixing bowl out while you were gone, and wiped away most of the excess flour from the counter. He settles back into the role of recipe reader now that you're back. I've already turned down the oven to the correct temperature. Mabel, notably, doesn't look sheepish in the slightest, still grinning in front of the mixing bowl. So our next step is to add butter. I'll measure it out. And so you settle into a rhythm. Mabel measures ingredients and tosses them in. Ford reads out the recipe, pausing occasionally to balance out Mabel's hazardous method of throwing ingredients into the bowl, and you mix everything into a suitable batter. 2 ingredients later, you notice Ford rolled his sleeves up to his elbows as he works. You can get used to the sight of him like this. You don't notice Ford returning your stare until he clears his throat. Apparently your oogling lasted a moment too long. Just get envious. Yeah. I just added the first cup of flour. You can stir it in now. Oh, right. Ford adds another cup as you stir the ingredients together, trying to ignore how red your face feels. Oh, look at you two working so well together. It's like you don't even need me to be perfect. You know she's talking about the matchmaking, but Ford doesn't take it that way. That's not entirely accurate. You're an essential member of our baking trio. After all, who else is creative enough to come up with a unifying theme for all these cupcakes? You're right, I haven't even thought about that yet. Mabel stands on a chair next to Ford to reach the counter, hops up and sits at the edge of the counter. Lovey-dovey or lovey-dovey? God, I can't decide. While Mabel works it out with her creative genius, Ford scoops out the last cup of flour, going to wipe the excess back into the bag with his finger. Wait, I have the perfect idea. She lifts her arm in triumph and promptly sends Ford's heaped cup of flour flying. Ford fumbles to catch it but ultimately fails, and the cup, along with the bag, falls into the mixing bowl, sending a mushroom cloud of flour into your faces. Flour cakes Ford's glasses, along with his nose, cheeks, and forehead, and the front of his hair to the point where the colour is indistinguishable from his usual streak of grey. Mabel, thankfully sitting to the side at her perch on the counter, only got half covered in the explosion of flour, even though she's already got various spots of flour covering all over her sweater. Oops. It's okay, Mabel. Here, take this and dust the flour off. Mabel attempts to brush flour off her sweater as Ford takes off his glasses, blowing puffs of white from the lenses and wiping them clean with the hem of his turtleneck. He manages to clear most of the flour off his skin, but he missed a spot. Ford? I'm fine. I've had many messier adventures in my time than a bit of flour. No, that's not it. Tasha?
Oh my god.
Do I tell him there's flour in his hair, ask what we're doing about the batter, or brush the flour out of his hair myself? Oh my god. You're a demon. You reach over to brush it out. Ford gives you an uncertain expression but stands still, letting you make contact. Your fingers only run through his hair for a second, but it was enough time for you to register how fluffy and floury it is. You can't help the smile that tugs at your lips as you flush. You just had some flour there. Did I? Mabel has stopped dusting herself off and is now looking between you and Ford with such anticipation that you're getting self-conscious under her attention. Ford seems to take notice too, because he takes an unnecessary step back and awkwardly clears his throat. Right, flour, mistake, let's fix it. The three of you take a moment to stare at the disaster zone on the counter. Looks like the only thing we can do now is guess how much flour was added and scale the amount of the rest of the ingredients to match it. I was going to start over, but that's a brilliant idea, Discovepius. Let's do it. Mabel, do you have another bowl for this operation? Good thing I found this mega big bowl for mixing. Mabel presents a vessel more akin to a tub than a mixing bowl. It's clean though, and Ford transfers the batter over. Good call, Mabel. Are you secretly a psychic? Nope, it's just a little thing I like to call the power of Mabel. She does exaggerated jazz hands, shaking more flour off in the process. The three of you laugh before beginning before beginning the post-flower mission. Due to this mishap, you now need 4 times the other ingredients to match the flour that got dumped into the bowl. An inconvenience, but not impossible. As you measure out more sugar, you spot Ford adding to the bowl by cracking 2 eggs at a time in each hand. Show off. The kitchen is quiet during the bustle of measuring, adding, and remixing, but after a couple minutes, Mabel sighs. What's up, Mabel? I don't know, Disco Vampires. It feels silly to talk about. Nothing is too silly. Well, that's a broad statement, but the point is we're willing to listen. Well, Grenda and Marius are throwing this party on Marius's yacht, right? You have no idea who either of those people are, but play along for Mabel's sake. Yeah? They're really getting into that romance zone. Grenda even told me that they kissed. Ford only gives this a mild acknowledgement, so you have to amp up the reaction zone. They did not. They did so. Can you believe that? I seriously cannot believe that. Ford looks lost as he continues to mix the batter together. And I'm really happy for Grenda, I am, but sometimes I feel a little jealous. Grenda's like one of my best friends. I don't get why I can't just be happy for her without feeling this way. Everyone feels like that sometimes. All you can do is try your best to stay positive for her, even if you're feeling a little bitter inside. And just know that eventually this feeling will pass. Really, everyone gets this way, even with friends. It doesn't mean you're a bad friend or anything. Thanks, Disco Vampires. And anyway, if this is about the romance, Mabel, you're only a teenager. You might feel like you're watching your friends get married and settle down so quickly, but that doesn't start happening until you get to 25. You're a wonderful girl, you're smart, pretty, and you can probably make a mean batch of cupcakes. I know that whoever you end up loving will be lucky to have you, and that perfect relationship will come your way in time. Mabel seems to brighten and she smiles at you gratefully. Then she looks thoughtful. Getting married. I wonder when someone I know will get married.
What is that?
That's Mabel. She's non-specific, but Ford pointedly coughs into his fist. Wait, we need to make those cupcakes extra special before we can bake them. I thought they already were. Well, we're going to split this into 3 parts, add food coloring, and marble them in. No, that's just special. I'm thinking extra special. I'm thinking explosion rocks. You mean that tiny candy that makes your mouth all tingly? Exactly. I'm gonna go grab my supply. Mabel dashes out to get the candy, leaving you and Ford alone in the kitchen. Normally you'd expect the atmosphere to turn awkward, but you find yourself anticipating something instead. You give Ford a smile. Good job calculating how much we needed to salvage the cupcakes. Ford laughs, leaning back against the counter. Oh, I just eyeballed it and adjusted based on the batter's apparent viscosity. No calculation involved. And, well, I couldn't let all our hard work go to waste after you suggested salvaging it. I don't get it. You wanted to start over? Well, I had a whole plan in mind. We were going to quintuple the recipe, and now it's more like octuple. But I think this was the better route to take. Now that I think about it, this was the last of that flour. Wait, damn, Stanley needs flour for pancakes this week. Would he take cupcakes for breakfast instead? We're gonna have plenty of extra. Knowing him, I think the probability is very high. You were about to say something else, leaning in to continue the conversation, when Mabel re-enters the room. She's carrying a cardboard box stuffed to the brim with bright packets of explosion rocks. I'm back! Alright, let's add these puppies in and make some cupcake magic. You and Ford start helping Mabel decant the explosion rocks into the batter. Ford glances at you as you shake the last packet into the bowl. Both of you know that the consumers of these cupcakes would get an unpleasant surprise from them exploding in their mouth, especially since the multicolored candy makes the batter look like unassuming funfetti cupcakes. Then it's time to split the batter and marble them into the pan. The 3 colors Mabel chose are deep purple, blue, and pink, which she says ties in perfectly with her theme. So you're going to tell us what the theme is yet? Nope, let's get these in the oven. Ford picks up both pans and sticks them in the oven to bake. There's still plenty of batter in the mixing bowl. You barely skimmed the surface with the first batch. You and Ford share another look. Alright, it's time for the best part. Frosting. What kind do we have? It's not what kind do we have, it's what kind we are making. Mabel presents another recipe card. Oh geez. Thankfully the frosting is far easier to make than the batter. By the time you and Mabel separate the sugary result into a few different bowls for colouring, the first batch of cupcakes came out of the oven 10 minutes ago and have cooled down on the counter. As Mabel puts it, they're ready to be Mabel-fied. Ford grins at her as he starts dyeing a bowl of icing bright pink. Decorating the cupcakes is by far the most fun part of the afternoon. The 3 of you sit around the kitchen table. Mabel purposely sits you and Ford next to each other while she takes the remaining spot, and you use different frosting tips to make designs on all of the cupcakes. Mabel has finally revealed her theme to be outer space, because space is full of romance, and this way I can say that compatibility is out of this world, so the 3 of you cover marbled cupcakes in galaxy-worthy combinations of coloured frosting. Ford, to put it simply, is delighted by the theme. You're pretty sure the constellations he painstakingly iced on his last 25 cupcakes would pass as illustrations in the Stargazer's Guide. In the middle of completing a second Orion, Ford gets some icing on his face. A drip of blue somehow made it onto his chin, presumably from testing the icing to make sure it tasted good. It did, of course. Mabel kicks you from under the table. Ow! Shh! And she nods her head at her grunkle, giving you a meaningful look that Ford completely misses. He wipes most of it off, but now there's a streak of blue at his cheeks, so you... Tasha, your decision-making is needed again. Smear it with my finger, wipe it off for him, or point it out.
What?
He has icing on his face.
Maybe put it on
Point it out. Mabel mouth gets it from across the table, charading it as well, just in case you couldn't read her lips. But hey, Ford, you still have some icing on your face there. Oh, do I? Ford wipes it away himself, and there goes the opportunity. Mabel looks at you disappointedly from her seat across the table, and you think you catch her mumbling something about her matchmaking skills being squandered at moments like this. Eventually, the three of you finish decorating over 100 cupcakes. Looking at them all lined up on the counter, you can really see the decline in quality as you, Ford, and Mabel got worn out. The last few have frosting in solid colours, with just a handful of star-shaped sprinkles on top. I can't believe we're finally done. Yes, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I've had enough of the night sky to last me the rest of the week. Oh, but we're not done. Mabel sounds almost as peppy as she has all day, even though she must be as tired as you and Ford. There's just one last thing to do. Clean up, because we have a huge mess here. No, Grunkle Ford, more important than that. More urgent, more desperately needed. Ford looks perplexed. What could that be? The glitter! Mabel pulls over a sizable tub of blue edible glitter that had been sitting at the back corner of the counter for, you're guessing, the whole afternoon you've been in here. Unscrewing the lid reveals its sparkling, shiny contents. Each of you grab handfuls of glitter, sprinkling liberally over each cupcake. The only person who seems to be hesitating is Ford, who keeps stopping to attempt glitter gradients in order to keep his earlier icing work clear of glitter. Mabel always comes in after him though and fills in the blanks so that the whole thing sparkles. Soon enough, the tub is left nearly empty. Great, all of these are for the party. Except this one's for Dipper, this one's for Grunkle Stan, this one's for Waddles, Mabel who will see exceptions aside, and in the end the three of you grab a cupcake each as a reward for an afternoon's hard work. You tap them together in a pseudo-toast and absolutely devour them. The cupcake tastes odd, but that's what makes it amazing. It's probably the explosion rock, so you can detect the faint spice of love and adoration, a good, if not perfect, cupcake. The remaining cupcakes are strategically fitted into the pantry among the cheese boodles and various other snack foods, ready to be brought to the party tomorrow afternoon. Mabel stretches and yawns dramatically before grabbing the plate of cupcakes that have been set aside. Well, I better get these over to the boys. You know how Grunkle Stan gets when he smells something cooking and doesn't get a taste. You're not quite sure you do, but Ford nods knowingly, so it must be true. Anyway, I'll leave you two lovebirds alone. Sobbing. Thanks for the help, and you're welcome for my help. Mabel sends a wink and a finger gun as she leaves. Your heart freezes in your chest as Ford looks at Mabel's exit with an unreadable look, then faces you. You see, I know what's going on. This isn't the first time Mabel has tried to find my match. You can't find the words to express your mixture of relief and confusion. Ford explains. I suppose she's at that age where kids are thinking about romance and dating. Stanley and I are just two of her recent subjects for these compatibility experiments.
Shut up!
Shut up. If that happens, you have to read the description. Last time, Mabel reached out to...
Hopefully they made it passionately. And that was...
Shut up! Last time, Mabel reached out to Merman to set me up. Sorry. To set me up with a merman. She didn't tell me what kind of situation it was, so I unknowingly grilled him with enough scientific queries about mer people to send him back underwater with a grumpy burble. Ford gives you a small, genuine smile, but I can't say that it's been all bad. After all, I haven't managed to repeat that kind of mistake yet here. If you did, you'd be surprised by how much I know about mer people. He gives you an amused chuckle. You both look around the disaster scene of the kitchen. Since Mabel conveniently had other things to do, she left you and Ford with the task of cleaning everything. Ford rolls his sleeves up and adjusts his glasses. Come on, let's get this kitchen cleaned up. Oh cool, I can finally stop this recording, haha. You are a menace to society. Oh, I need to click the screen, I forgot about that. That's what you're going to do. And I'm saving.